Hey guys, this is Patrick. Going over a few things with foot issues common with walking, hiking, backpacking, standing for prolonged periods of time, any kind of extraneous or non-extraneous, depending on what you're doing, what kind of footwear you have on. Going to go over a few things: plantar fasciitis, blisters, trench foot, and how to prevent it, causes, first aid, and all that other good stuff. The first thing we're going to talk about is plantar fasciitis. I apologize for the cars and the people that may walk by. I'm at Lugert Lake, but here we go. Plantar fasciitis is one of the most common causes of heel pain. It is the band of tissue that runs across the bottom of your foot and connects your heel bone to your toes. It's kind of shaped like a bowstring. It's just a basic tendon. It's common in anybody who does anything from 20-year-old to 60-year-old. Weight is a factor in it, but it's not one of the leading causes of it. It's just the thing that happens if you're active. Symptoms is a stabbing pain at the bottom of your foot near the heel. The pain is usually the worst of the first few steps after awakening. Usually you don't notice until the next day after, say, you walk 7-8 miles or you've been standing for 6 to 8 hours. You'll notice it as soon as you wake up the next morning if you're not already hurting. Although it can be triggered by long periods of standing, when you get up after sitting, the pain usually worse after exercise, not during it. Underlying causes of plantar fasciitis is your plantar fascia is the shape of a bowstring supporting the arch of your foot and absorbing shock when you walk. If tension is too great, a small tear can occur. Shock absorber of your feet. Vigorous activities, as long as it's running, aerobics, hiking, and backpacking long distances. Foot's mechanics like flat feet, high arch, or a normal pattern of walking. Uh, how to treat it is very simple: massages, stretching it, like standing on a curb and your heels on the curb and your toes touching the concrete, or you can use a rock as long as it's kind of at a 45-degree angle. Change your footwear, see if that works. Inserts sometimes work. If it gets too bad, you'll have to wear a splint. If you're wearing trail runners or running shoes like that, something that has already a foam sole, it can happen, but it helps. Next thing we're going to talk about is blisters. Everybody knows what a blister is. It's a small pocket of fluid caused by feet being wet, shoes slipping up and down, socks. I mean, it's all depends on your body mechanics and how blisters will and where they appear. Some of the the main causes of blisters is excessive moisture or perspiration can trigger skin bubbles. This is common during warm seasons among athletes, particularly runners. Tiny blisters form from sweat clogs in the pores and feet. Uh, get blisters from doing anything, and it's just a fact of life. Uh, First aid for blister is don't pop it. Leave it the overskin intact. Don't pop the blister because then you can get infection and all that other good fun stuff. And if it goes too long untreated, you could get gangrene and lose whatever happens depending on where you're at and what's going on. If you like me and you like to hike in the middle of nowhere, there's usually 2 or 3 hours before somebody can get help. Now that's it's 2 or 3 hours, and granted, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but it could be a big deal. First aid for a blister is just wash your hands, use a cotton swab to disinfect the needle with rubbing alcohol, clean the blister with antiseptic. I'd stay away from peroxide. Use Neosporin or rubbing alcohol. Peroxide is said to bubble the infection to the top, but as soon as you wipe it, you're pushing the infection back down into the affected area, which will and cause the infection again. Unless you're spending 6 months out in the field, it's not going to be, it's not going to be that big of a deal because you can go home, take a shower, clean it, whatever, however you need to. Um, Take a needle, puncture the blister, then push the fluid out, cover it up with gauze, band-aid, wrap it, whatever you need. Change your socks, put on a dry pair of whatever socks you prefer. I've even went as far as taking a needle and thread and coat it with Neosporin and push the thread through the blister, the needle and thread through the blister, so it's puncturing the blister but also disinfecting it at the same time. It feels a little weird, but I found the best way to do it. Prevention for blisters is just wear the proper footwear, the proper socks, make sure your feet fit like they're supposed to. Everybody thinks they know exactly what size they wear, but I recommend anytime you buy a new pair of socks, boots, shoes, whatever it is your preferred footwear, get your foot measured every time. That way you get the best fit for that shoe or boot. You can use Gold Bond, the military grade foot powder if you want, anything to keep your feet completely dry, and that is the best prevention of blisters. The most severe and really the most common foot problem is trench foot. You can get you don't have to walk around in swamps for periods of time or whatever. You can get trench foot by your feet sweating too much. Wearing waterproof work boots when you're at an outing, your feet will sweat, and there's a possibility of trench foot. It's easy to get, and whenever your feet get wrinkly, you know it's starting to. Whenever you're walking around and your feet get wrinkly, it's the beginning stages of trench foot. When they start turning white, it's time to start changing socks or change whatever you're wearing. You'll get trench foots. You'll have blisters, blotchy skin, redness, skin tissue that dies and fall off. That's pretty gnarly. Additionally, trench foot causes the following sensation: coldness, heaviness, numbness, pain when exposed to heat, persistent itching, prickliness, tingling, like if your foot's feeling like it's constantly when your feet fall asleep, the pins and needles, that's what it starts the foot starts to feel like. Temperatures can range anywhere between 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and that can happen on a hot and humid day. It all depends on what is on your feet. Constant wet, if you're out, hunting or whatever, and your feet start itching, it's time to change. It's time to stop, and it's your body letting you know, hey, there's something wrong. We need to fix it. You only get 2 feet, so take care of them, is all I'm trying to say. If it's left untreated, if you think, oh, heck, it'll be all right, it's just, I'll just dry them off with a towel and be fine. It's your feet, do it as you wish, but I suggest things like amputation, severe blisters, and keep you from walking, gangrene, permanent nerve damage, and ulcers. I mean, if you let this stuff go for more than a couple of days, your feet are done. It's over. The treatment, it's easy. Elevate your feet. Ibuprofen. If you can't take ibuprofen, there's Tylenol. If you can't take Tylenol, ibuprofen, see a doctor as soon as you can. Take off your socks, hang them to dry, stick them on your backpack, let them dry in the sun. However you want to do it, that's fine. Clothesline over the fire, however you need to do it, let your socks dry. Same thing for your boots. Don't put those socks back on until they're completely dry and clean. Clean the affected area right away with sterile water, anything. Stay away from peroxide. Dry your feet thoroughly. If it gets too bad, apply heat packs to 5 minutes. Proper footwear depends on what you're doing. Like me and Meredith, we like hiking, so I wear trail runners. The ones I got on my feet are off-brand trail runners, but I think they're called Dirks or something like that. Soft sole, wide toe box. I'm wearing them right now, or I'd show them to you. If you're oil filled like most of us are, or most people I know, you're wearing waterproof steel toes. That's probably not the best in the summertime. Wear something lighter. I wear steel toe tennis shoes during the summer. that is the minimum of what I'm allowed to wear. They're steel toe, yet they cover 100% of my foot minus the ankle support, but they are comfortable and I can hike in them if I want to. I came off a 3-mile hike 2 days ago and I felt perfectly fine. All shoes have one thing in common: they've got a big giant hole where your foot goes in. So one thing to remember: if they're waterproof, whatever you're trying to keep out will also stay in. So if you got water leaking down in a boot, it's not going to escape. So keep that in mind. I like trail runners because as soon as water comes in, water leaves. It's like the old Vietnam jungle boots. They wore those because it sheds water as fast as it comes in. And they had a good idea at the time. Socks. I like merino wool socks. These are Hiker 6X's. They're merino wool. I hike in them every chance I get. Cotton sole. Wool's the best thing. Yeah, you might think they're hot, but they wick away the sweat and they still provide insulating properties while they're wet if it's cold outside. In the summertime, it's not that bad. If they get wet and your feet, you don't like the way they feel, take them off, throw them on your backpack, 30 minutes, they're dry. I love them. I won't go anything else. Cotton's not the best. I don't. Whoever you listen to will tell you cotton kills. It doesn't. When they're wet, they don't provide any insulating property. They're prone to cause more blisters. They don't breathe as well as the merino wool. They're great if you're shopping at Walmart or small treks, but spending all day out in the woods hiking, in a bug out, whatever, cotton is the worst anything. Stay away from cotton. If it's colder outside, cotton gets wet, it's going to retain the cold. It will cause more problems than it will prevent. Rayon, polyester, polyester, nylon, merino wool are great for next to skin layers. Wool does not wick as well as synthetic garments, but will absorb up to 30% of its weight in water. Unlike cotton, it does insulate when wet and is considered acceptable fabric for hiking. If you're bugging out, you're hiking. I mean, hiking and bugging out, they go hand in hand. There's a lot of things that there are a few things different, but all in all, it's I'm going to say it's 70%. They are exactly the same thing as you're going to carry while hiking or backpacking. If you start getting cold, hypothermia starts setting in. Cotton clothing is saturated, no longer providing any insulation. This can lead to disorientation, hypothermia, potentially death if it comes too chilled. All of that's true. I prefer merino wool. I won't wear any other socks if I'm out. If I'm out hiking or anything, I think it's the best. And there's a plethora of YouTube videos you can watch. On YouTube, there's thousands and millions of videos on the proper footwear. If you think what I'm saying is false, that's fine. I totally get it. There's plenty of other videos that you can go to and they'll tell you the same thing. Silk. Everybody thinks silk is comfortable, but once it gets wet, it's over. It's no insulating properties. You're just wet. You're just chafing yourself, creating blisters and whatever else have you. Silk is the worst. I didn't know this until I'd done some research, and apparently there's some clothing made from bamboo. It's advertised as being green product having characteristics comparable to wool, but many fabrics are actually just like rayon. Rayon is just like cotton. Stay away from it. It creates nothing but problems, issues, and just all around no. Like I said, wool, merino wool is the best. The shirts, you can get undies, sports bras, everything made wool. And it says what it's advertised. It's the best stuff. I think I paid $32 for 3 pairs of socks. It's a little bit on the expensive side, but hey, I get to walk, so I'll take that ding. Anyway, that's my video for footwear. I hope everybody's having a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.